We are going to have a presentation about the local project here. Arthur Davis, who's the director of the Urine Nutrient Reclamation Program.
I run our community scale urine recycling program here in Brattleboro. We call it the Urine Nutrient Reclamation Program. And it's been kind of the Rich Earth Institute flagship program since the Institute first got started back in 2012. It's community scale urine recycling. So the idea is that we're collecting the urine right here in Brattleboro, and then we're going through all of the various transport treatment steps that we need to do, and we're applying it in our same community. So the idea is that we're doing all of it, keeping it all kind of in a locally based program, which we think is a really great model, especially in this type of community where we both have somewhat of a population center, although as John mentioned earlier, it's a pretty small population center, but also one where there's a lot of agriculture right in our own community. We have the opportunity as citizens of this region to really be contributing in a significant way to agriculture. Moving forward. If you want more information about things that I'm talking about, or you have further questions about how the program is kind of implemented on our website, you can find this guide that we wrote, which is basically kind of like a big scale, like both the big picture down to like really nitty-gritty details, which kind of talks about our program and how it works on the ground. And a lot about how we evolved from starting until where we are now, and where we'd like to go. And so that's a great resource for those who, at the end of the presentation, you have more questions that than can be answered right here, right now. So the way our program works, we think of it as kind of having 4 steps. We have to collect the urine, we transport it, we treat it, and then we apply it. And so this schematic kind of gives some of the different pathways that the urine takes, and that it's kind of taken over time. For instance, on the transport, we used to work with a partner hauler, an outside company, and since for the last couple of years, we've been able to have our own in-house truck that we can use for transporting. So that's been a change and something that's been really positive. But I'll talk about all these in detail here. So starting with collection, the main way that people donate urine to us is by collecting at their homes and bringing urine to our Urine Depot, which is here in Brattleboro, right near downtown. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's a little key code on the door, and people can just let themselves in and then pump out their containers. So here's a little schematic of the depot. And the way it works, you can see on the right-hand side, there's a little pumping station. You set your jug up on the pump, and then you just pull down this handle, and that actuates a vacuum pump, which vacuums it up into this vacuum chamber, and then it gravity drains into our storage tanks, which then we have some kind of remote monitors, and that allows us to know when it's getting full, and then we can go pump it out. Here's some photographs of that. So here's the pumping station. People put their jugs right up on that blue square, and then you can just put your hand on that handle and depress it down, and just that activates the pump, which is really nice. Means there's no pouring necessary, which is great as a user. I am a user myself of the depot, so we all, I think at various times, all of us have used it a lot, and so we've both been on the operating end, manufacturing end, and the user end, so trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. One thing, we also encourage people to log their donations, and we have a kind of informal competition every year that maybe some of our panelists will talk about later, called the Piss-Off competition, which is kind of a way to try to be lighthearted about it, but also get people excited and try to donate as much as possible. And we have some fun awards that we give out in the spring for the previous year's winners. here's the kind of the back end of the depot, which maybe some folks who are online today who are urine donors maybe even haven't seen back behind the big blue wall. But it's kind of all encased in insulation, which we do live in Vermont, and it does freeze in the winter. So you can see on the right-hand side, there's a little thermostat. And we do have the ability to keep the inside from freezing, which is very important when we need to do pump outs in the winter. But this is where all the urine is stored. We have the capacity to hold about 1,500 gallons, which usually lasts us at least a couple months. Another way that people collect is by collecting at their home. Well, thank you, Julia. By collecting at their homes in larger containers, and then we come to those homes and we pump out their containers. So here is a home that has a big 250 gallon or about 1,000 liter container, which is kind of buried next to the house. And this is actually fed from a urine diverting toilet in the house. We come with our truck, put our hose in, and we pump it out. Here's another example. This is really what we're trying to move toward, which is this is a house where we just show up and there's a little fitting on the outside of the house, and we just clamp our hose right on there. The container, the storage container is in the basement, which is fed also from a urine diverting dry toilet in the house. And we don't have to go in their house at all. We just come over and it's like we're filling their oil tank or something, but we instead are emptying their urine tank. So that's really what we're trying to move toward with some of the regulatory work that we're doing at the moment, is to make this kind of option more possible in our community. So transport. This is our transport truck. We have a custom built pumping system that we developed. Utilizes vacuum and also kind of a regular chemical transfer pump. Kind of this has been one of the things that we've had the most kind of change and innovation on over the years of the program. And anyway, but fairly self-explanatory. Helps get the urine from point A to point B. Then we bring it to our facility here, which is where I am right now, and we pasteurize the urine, which is part of our permit from the state of Vermont. And our permit requires us to bring all of our urine up to 80 degrees Celsius for 90 seconds. And that's the standard for treating sewage sludge. And the reason for treating it to that standard is because we're concerned about potential fecal matter, or the state is concerned about potential fecal contamination, as are we. So we can have safe handling and know that we're not putting something out into the world that may cause harm to folks. And then on the left, you can see our tanks of treated urine that then we can pump out of and bring to farms. So here's an example of, we have of our monitoring of the pasteurizer. You can see it's those lines right on the top. It's hovering right around 80 degrees Celsius, and it's a flow-through system. So using a heat exchanger, so we're recapturing about 80% of the heat that we are creating in the system, and then as urine comes in, it's held at 80 degrees Celsius until it leaves the system, which takes 90 seconds or longer, and then as it leaves, it's pasteurized. So finally, we get to application. So we've pumped urine back up on the truck. This is a picture of some of our interns last summer pumping urine onto the applicator, and this applicator holds about 500 gallons. We have another one that holds less that you'll hear about in a little bit. And so then there's a valve underneath the tank, and that opens, and then the urine gravity drains into this boom that you see behind the tank, and there are holes drilled in the boom, and then it just kind of comes out, as you can see right here. This is our farmer Dean Hamilton applying to hayfields on his farm, and we commercially are mostly using it just on hay crop. We are permitted to use the pasteurized urine on any types of agricultural use, but we've kind of been focusing on hay. One, because it's a little bit, we haven't kind of made the jump towards really dealing with food crops in terms of public perception in the community here, although we've done work kind of on that subject as an institute, but more in a research fashion. And also there's just lots of hayland, and hay is very nitrogen hungry, so it's a great use for the product. So kind of as I talked about a little bit, it really started out as a grassroots initiative. We started back in 2012 with 50 people about. We collected about 600 gallons of urine, and in that first year, and now we are 8 years later. We have almost 200 folks who are involved on an active, ongoing basis, and we last year, for the first time, we collected over 10,000 gallons of urine, which was quite exciting, and we're hoping to be keeping to expand the program.